live drawing.
Can you imagine?
Oh my God.
It's like some dead grandma, yeah, bro. Don't worry, guys, just taking some photos.
So, I've been thinking of getting a tattoo, but I don't know where to start.
I guess you could start by figuring out. What I would do is start by figuring out how tattooed you want to be. Like me, for example, I decided very early on that I want to be like full bodysuit. You don't have to go that extreme, but once you figured out how tattooed you want to be, then the next thing would be what style of tattoo you would want.
If I have to put myself in the place of a client that wants to get a tattoo or someone that's wanting to start a project with any one of our artists, it's best to look at sleeves or bodysuits if you're interested in that much, or any tattoo space that you would like to get, and look at the aesthetic. In most cases, because people are going to come to our studio for tattoos, one would assume that they are visually simulated. I would assume that because they're coming for visual art. So that's the language that we would most likely use to communicate, and that's always going to play to your strength. So look at tattoos in the ways that you separate the subject matter from the way it actually looks. Because as much as you feel some sort of attachment to the story behind your tattoo, people are gonna see it before they understand it. So it needs to look nice before you explain what it is. I'm gonna take this ring off this episode so you don't have some knocking.
And then figuring out where you're going to get tattooed or by whom you're going to get tattooed. So researching artists in your area, or if you're keen to travel, that's cool. But figuring out which artist would suit your style, because obviously artists do different styles of work. Like a realism artist is probably not going to want to do American traditional, or you probably won't do it as well.
Yeah,
you know,
just doesn't have as much experience.
Yeah.
And once you've decided actually what you want your tattoo to look like, and to give an example for things like that, you can look at, I'd say with my style specifically, you're looking at darker tattoos. So if you look at other tattoos and you're like, oh, this is dark, I like the darker backgrounds, and I like how from a distance, even when you look at it, you can see that it's predominantly darker, then you would come to me. But then there's the opposite of that. You get the lighter styles, like what Kayla does. So Kayla does fine lines and like
floral geometry. That
so there's a lot of skin space in that, and that makes the tattoo brighter. So you can look at things like that, and there's a whole lot of things to look at with regards to getting a tattoo's aesthetic.
I think that it's super important that obviously when you are looking to get a tattoo, that you are compiling quite a lot of references, just obviously so that you can see what direction that you want to go in.
Yeah, I think a big part about getting tattooed is just doing some research at home. It's important to sort of, because obviously we all have questions, and if you just do a little bit of Googling and a little bit of searching at home, you can get a lot of answers, so that's kind of the onus is on you as the client then to just look around, see who's in your area, see which artists you like, and then with regards to the tattoo itself that you're thinking of getting, have a look at previous examples or stuff that's been done already, see what's possible, and then from there you can get an idea of what you can maybe get, and chances are you're not going to get the exact same thing as what you want, just because why would you want something that someone already has? But that's where the cool part comes. If you find an artist that can execute what you want, you can chat to them and have a conversation, and then figure out how to give you something that's unique for you and special for you, and your own piece of artwork.
Tattoo. So when you're looking for your artist, really consider the way that their feed looks, their portfolio looks, and look at their style in such a way that you know that whatever you decide for, it's going to be executed in that manner. And that's very important, because we have situations where, for example, I'm not particularly strong in script, which is something I would like to do, but I'm not particularly strong in it right now. So people will come to me and they see my page is predominantly shading and they want script, and I would usually recommend one of our other artists here to help you, or an artist that I really like, but it's definitely going to be biased from my side. And at the end of the day, we're just looking out for your tattoos and we want the best for you.
I think that it's also just important to mention that if you know that you want to get tattooed at our studio, and say for instance you are a bit in the dark, like there's no problem with also just like messaging and mailing like Rebecca to find out like which artist would be best suited for whatever style you are kind of looking at, just so that you have also like a better idea of who to go to and like who your artist might be.
Like thinking about it too much is also a bit of a problem. Like overthinking your tattoo and like wanting like every single thing you've ever thought of in one tattoo. Generally, an artist is gonna be like, dude, there's too many things. Like, you know, like let's throw like all of them away, keep 2 or 3 elements, depending on what the style is. But like overthinking and like trying to get all the tattoos you could ever want into one thing doesn't really work out too much. So
I think that it's just like, what is something that I love that you say is that there's no rules to art, but there is rules to the body. And I feel like in that saying, like it says enough. Like the fact that you come to us with a specific idea, it's not necessarily gonna work for your body shape or, you know, wherever the flow or what you intend to, like maybe you want to like depict like a story through it. Like obviously you can't always, especially when it comes to my consultations, I find that people obviously want to tell a story, and I absolutely love that. But I think that sometimes too many ideas, it's too much. Like you can't always compact so many ideas in one narrative. Like it's too much subject matter in like a small space is just going to make it so busy.
And like the artist is also gonna like put his or her interpretation into it. So like if you hold on to your idea too much, then the artist is like then does something that a little slightly different. You might be a little bit bleak or like might be a little bit apprehensive from there on. So like figure out what you want, but be like kind of open to change. You know what I mean? Just because if you find an artist that is like really dedicated to his or her style, you know, they're gonna know how to go about putting your idea together in the best way possible, if they're a good artist. So like if you've thought about it way too much and you're like, this is exactly what I want. You're not a tattooer, like you might want to like cram things into areas like that aren't gonna work, and like the artist is gonna be like, that's all gonna fall to shit, you know. So like be a little bit open-minded,
flexible.
When it comes to that. Flexible.
Collaboration is key.
And that's the thing with getting tattoos as well, and conceptualizing the sleeve. And I like to use this example when I speak to my clients as well. I'd say that if I had an idea of what a dream house would be, and I drew this about 10, 20 years ago as a kid, and this is the house I want one day when I get older, and I go to an architect that's now studied for years, and he's got enough man hours that he's well seasoned. And now I get to him and I'm like, this is the house I want to build it for me. He might look at it and be like, yeah, but this structure can't stand for this period of time. This won't work. This will fall in and this will break down. And you need to take that into consideration, because obviously you want to live in a house that's strong, but also kind of looks like what you want. You know what I mean? And the same thing applies to any other industry where there is a professional involved that needs to guide you to get what you want. You really need to let go of that control, but not all of it. And also that's something that I like to use, is that I would say in terms of percentage, I like to break down the tattoo process to 95% or whatever percentage you want to do. But the majority of it goes to the tattoo artist, because that's the thinking. They're taking your idea, that whether it be words or references from other images, and filtering that into a creative process that benefits you and gives you the product that you want. But without the direction that is the 5%, we can't do that, because too much freedom it boxes you up, and too little freedom does the same thing. So you want to find that sweet spot, and that sweet spot is to insinuate, or not insinuate, to suggest where the tattoo process will go, and allow your artist who you like to do it for you.
The do whatever you want expression is not a good thing. Like I think it's a good thing.
You get a bunch of dicks tattooed.
Do what you want.
we gonna do what we
want.
want.
Have some fun. So I think in terms of doing the research at home, it's finding the artist, finding the studio, finding something that's within your budget. Ask around, and then also when looking for references, I think it's important to look for clear images, clean images. You can find those references of tattoos that have been done before and bring them along as inspiration, but that's all they're going to be is inspiration.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that exact tattoo.
I wouldn't say that it's a good idea to use the tattoo that you like or the style of sleeve that you like or any piece of the body that you like as an example for the tattoo you want to get, because it is already on somebody else. So it's a good idea to open your mind up to that. This is what I like in style, and this is what I'm trying to execute with what my artist can bring, the style that I like, and I'll get a product that is uniquely mine because it's a collaboration of all these aspects.
Like the whole the reference image thing. I like when people bring me like obviously images to see, because it's like a lot easier to like get into someone's head like with a visual representation as opposed to like someone trying to articulate themselves, because sometimes people can't really like explain too well. So like a visual representation is cool, but like it's just a visual representation of what you are thinking of, you know what I mean? It just kind of, like I said, gives us a little bit to run with, and like it gives us a little bit of insight into your head. But it's not like the fucking end all of your idea. Like I'm not gonna just copy and paste, you know what I mean? So like there's certain things like like depending on what you want, like say your grandmother passed away and you want a portrait of your grandmother, like you have to provide like a good photo. Like that's when the reference becomes like super key. So that like references like that, super important. But if you like I want a skull, like don't worry, bro. We'll find the references for you. Just, like show us kind of what you want. You know what I mean?
I think that like I don't mind if someone's like especially in the consultation, like showing me an image of someone else's tattoo. Like I don't really mind that. I think that just as long as like the client knows and realizes that like it is just an idea. It does give me a bit of a better idea as to like what direction you want to go into and like maybe the flow or whatever the case. But at the same time, just like be open to, not get exactly that. Yeah.
We're also not going to force you to take what we've designed or what we imagined. We are very open to suggestions, and if you don't like what you see, say something, because it's permanent.
You're not going to hurt our feelings.
Exactly, we're not going to be just a little bit of ego bruising about it.
Especially if I took all those photos of your dead grandma.
That's not my grandma.
That's exactly what it is. It is a collaboration. Like it comes from your brain out your mouth into our ears, into our brain, and then out our hands, back onto you. Like it's a whole full circle thing. But like it has to be like a fluid relationship. Like it becomes a marriage at the end of the day, bro. In like a weird way.